So the best upcoming moons, not new moons or full moons, but transits of the moons through the signs. I'm going to break down in this video some of the best pockets of energy, some of the best transits that we have upcoming just based on the moon and picking out these sweet spots of great lunar energy. Stay tuned. Welcome to this video where I'm going to examine upcoming transits that I think are useful, optimal for a variety of things. The genesis of this video comes from a comment from Sleeping Beauty 459, and they asked here, are you still picking a chart of the week? You said last week that you were going to phase out of a certain kind of video format, and because you posted too late, I'm not phasing out the format because I posted late that one Sunday and the transit of the week wasn't available to people. I'm phasing out the weekly astrology because it just takes over the channel. It doesn't allow me to have the freedom to post other content that I want to post. And so the new version is shorter videos, a variety of topics. I love weekly astrology, plenty of astrologers that you can find every week here on YouTube. So find your favorites. So this video will be a series of good energy moons, similar to the transit of the week that I was doing before, but this upcoming lunation has a bunch of interesting moons, particularly the waxing phase. After this lovely Cancer new moon, there's a series of really nice sweet spots. So yeah, Sleeping Beauty, enjoy this video because these are transits you can use and we'll explore how you might be able to use them. And I want to say I've published on this channel maybe 2 years ago my philosophy of electional astrology, how I pick out good pockets of energy. And so I'll link to that here, but I'm going to be using some of those principles to filter through this upcoming waxing phase of the lunation so that you can get excited and maybe use some of these upcoming transits for your purposes. Now, these aren't technical elections because those require a detailed and deeper analysis based on a root chart, the natal chart, based on a number of factors that I can't do here in a general reading. But you might be able to use these, especially if you have some electional knowledge, to layer them into your natal chart and for your purposes. The next thing I want to say, that the way I'm going to structure this video is we'll go chart by chart, but I'm going to use one book. I picked out this one book from our tradition, and it's a public domain astrological text. If you Google Benabel Wynn free astrology references, this is an astrologer and a tarot reader and a tarot deck creator. Really cool, really enjoy her work. But she has on this page links to PDFs of these public domain astrological texts. And she is linking this book by Raphael, who's one of the preeminent astrologers of the 19th century. You know, Raphael was a pen name of this guy, Robert Cross Smith, an English astrologer, wrote under this pseudonym, this mysterious pseudonym. But his book here, Manual of Astrology or the Book of the Stars, and there's a longer title here, very good. He's very grounded in the ancient tradition. He explicates the energies of the signs and the planetary rulers well enough that we'll use his text in this video when the elections I'm going to show you, or these transits. We're going to extract from his text some meaning to help us understand maybe how we can use these moments. As an astrologer, I always love finding a text that's well written from an astrologer that I resonate with, and using that text to kind of bounce off ideas and interface with their thought and how they engage the symbols. It provides ammo for a contemporary astrologer, a contemporary moment of astrology, this one, and it'll help us get some fresh ideas about the present moment. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and Raphael is certainly one of those giants. So let's just go through these. We're going to go fast, and I'm going to lay out a whole series of charts you can use. First chart, 27 June 2022, Monday, that's tomorrow, here in Central Europe, 10:52 a.m. You get this lovely moment. It's what I'm recording this video under, where you have the moon in Gemini with Venus and with Mercury strong in Gemini. Look at the chart, it's a beauty. The moon is sextiling Mars, averse to the lunar nodes, trine Saturn. And so all of the difficult energies that can harm the moon are not in play. The moon conjoins its ruler Mercury, and in this chart, I've got it in the 10th house, somewhat near the midheaven. Virgo rises in this chart, underscoring and doubling up on that mercurial and that energy of Gemini, with Venus there, the benefic mixing, and the other benefic, Jupiter, flooding from a sextile earlier in zodiacal order. This is a very lovely Gemini chart. It's a waning moon, maybe best used for eliminating something or lessening something. The thing also about this chart is you have these three domiciled planets, Mercury in Gemini, Mars in Aries, Saturn in Aquarius. You've got a mutual reception by exaltation between Jupiter and the Sun, which is lovely. Venus and Mercury have term mutual reception, and of course they're also co-present, so Venus has a lot of support. There's just lovely, lovely astrology here in this chart. How might we use this chart? How might we use these energies? Well, let's go to Raphael. What does he write about Gemini? He said it's the house of Mercury. It may be the exaltation of the North Node, though he doesn't agree with it. He thinks that's superfluous. So again, he's a traditionalist, which is a 19th century writer. There's a continuous chain of traditional and ancient astrology, actually. It's not something that lay dormant too much, and then we discovered it only in our current moment. I think every moment likes to think they're somewhat special, and granted, there are translations that are new, but there is a continuous chain of these ancient concepts, undeniable. So what does he say here? He says that he runs through the different qualities of the sign. It produces persons of greater intellect and a more powerful invention and genius than any other sign of the zodiac. So here he's talking about the intellectual side of Gemini. He points us right to it. This is the nature of Mercury, Gemini. It's thought, it's analysis. And I think we can begin thinking about this moment on Monday. What are you analyzing? What are you writing about? What are you thinking about? It's diurnal. It's of the daytime. What are you manifesting with your thought and idea and language? That's how I might use this wonderful energy. Buying and selling, games, children, all of those significations of Mercury come into play and are greatly supported in this chart, 27 June. Okay, the next chart comes up here on the 4th of July. This is a day of lovely astrology. You have here where I am, Central Europe, 1701. In the evening, late afternoon evening of that day, you've got this Virgo moon. So the moon will have gone from Gemini on the 27th. Now it's hitting Virgo on the 4th. Now the moon's waxing, it's growing. This is something you might use to initiate something you want to grow, bring things into your life that you want to seed and have them expand after the moment of seeding. And look at the chart. You've got now Venus in its own Egyptian term, so a very strong Venus. And the moon in this chart applies to Venus. That's how I would try to get your election. Get the moon applying to Venus very closely. It's again ruled by a Mercury that's strong in Gemini, so the ruler of the moon, which is the ultimate outcome of the election, is strong there in the late degrees of its own sign. Aversions to Saturn, aversions to Mars, sextiles and trines to the nodal axis. The moon is not harmed here. It's safe. It's applying to a benefic, and it's supported by a very strong domicile ruler. Lovely, lovely moon, lovely election if you want to use this to initiate things that you would like to grow of a mercurial nature. Let's go to Raphael. Raphael says of Virgo, feminine, earthy, nocturnal, etc. He goes and talks about the people that might have born under this sign, but he says very ingenious, thrifty, and economical. This is, of course, a stereotype of Virgo, right? That it's something that you're working with the practicalities of the material realm. Thrifty is about money and resources, right? That's earth energy. Ingenious, again, we go to the mercurial thinking and the power of Mercury to bring in mentality and new thought and analysis. He says here economical, so about the thrift and the economy. Virgo as a constellation, goddess has that wheat. So there's very much an earth orientation to the Virgo energy if we want to apply constellational mythology to the zodiac sign, which can be done. And so this is what you might use this for, something around your home, building, constructing, thinking about, a new shed you're building. Maybe that's a way to go here. Hanging out with people and, sewing some clothing. Remember, this moon's applying to Venus very closely. Thinking about adornment and how you can analyze the things you want to wear or adorn yourself with. I just got some new Pu'er tea. I'm going to try this for the first time. Wow, it's strong. I love a strong black tea. So a brief interlude here. I want to point out that on the 4th of July, a little after that election I just showed you, so only hours later, we get the exact Mars return of the January 6th protest, January 6, 2021, when Mars will be in the anaretic degree of Aries, the 53rd degree minute. And this was the exact place that Mars was on a noon in Washington, D.C., January 6, 2021, where we had some quite literal symbolism because Mars ingressed into Taurus that day. And then all over the news for the next week was this Q shaman. A horns like Taurus the bull as Mars ingressed into Taurus, and a very martial nature of an event. So be prepared for that on July 4th. This year, this Mars return, maybe we'll see some resonance or things emergent that are, connected to these events. Okay, the next chart comes after a pivotal moment of astrology, of upcoming astrology, which is that 5th, when early in the morning where I am on 5th of July, you will have Mercury changing signs, entering Cancer, losing dignity, going under the sun's beams, and then you have Mars leaving power in Aries and coming into its exile of Taurus. Major energetic shift happens. However, the good news is that this Libra moon, this waxing Libra moon, is still averse to Mars after Mars ingresses into Taurus, so it's not harmed by Mars. It's trine Saturn, not harmed by Saturn, averse to the lunar nodes, and then it makes a trine to ruler Venus. This is a lovely Libra moon applying here to Venus if you can get it. I've got in this chart the moon on the IC, getting the moon on an angle. It's a Libra Gemini energetic here that can be utilized on 7 July here, 4:45 in Central Europe. Venus is still in its Egyptian term here, and so the moon applies to Venus. It's strong in its Egyptian term. Let's go to Raphael. What does he say about Libra? He says the disposition to be sweet and the dealings and the character just and upright. The idea here is that justice, being upright, being of a nice character, these are all very Libran credentials and qualities where you have the ability to think about other people, include other people, ensure people are being treated fairly. You might use this for that people, for your people dealings, you might say. This could be a good Libra moon, maybe inviting people over, having a party, for discussion, for intellectual discussion, watching a film in a group and then talking about it. Remember, Venus is in Gemini, a classic film energy. Been watching a lot of movies lately. I saw Crimes of the Future, the new Cronenberg film. Wow, what a masterpiece of a picture. Beautifully shot and very profound about our kind of modern, contemporary kind of wasteland that often we feel like we're maybe living in. A very dystopian picture, very Pluto and Aquarius. But these are some ideas about how you can use this election. And then there's only two more I want to point out in this waxing part of the lunation, which are two Sagittarius moons. You have the first one on 10 July on Sunday, 22:15 here in Central Europe. You get the moon in Sagittarius applying to Jupiter in Aries. The moon will be ruled by Jupiter, so it makes a applying trine to the benefic ruler, both in fire signs. The chart I have here is at night, where you have the moon in the 10th house with the midheaven. You get triplicity dignity for Jupiter, which rules night signs which rules fire signs by night triplicity. This is a lovely chart for Jupiter in Aries and for growth, for expansion of all kinds, initiating expansions. Again, moon averse to the lunar nodes, averse to Mars and sextile Saturn. No hard aspects here to those difficult energies. The thing about the moment we're in at this point is that it's only the fixed axis now that has these kind of damaging energies. So both mutable signs and cardinal signs have relative freedom from that, which is very nice. Fixed signs, you're the main character right now, but the other signs, the other modalities have some real freedom to maneuver. And so you can remember here that not only is Jupiter in a sign of its night triplicity, it's also still in that mutual reception by exaltation with the sun. So it's this lovely supported ruler of the moon, which is the outcome of any event, any electional event. It's really a necessary condition, in my view. The ruler of the moon has to be powerful. We get that in this chart. So let's turn to Raphael. What does he say about Aries? That's where the ruler of the moon is. He says Aries, hasty, passionate, violent, and temperate. I think about it as just potent force of life, the impassioned movement of life. With Jupiter is good things, truth, wisdom, beneficence. So it's kind of moving towards passionate beneficence. That's the Aries energy. And Raphael in Sagittarius, he says that the house and joy of Jupiter, generally jolly fellows at either bin or board, which I think means just jolly no matter where they are in society, optimistic outlook, active, intrepid, generous, and obliging. This sign inclines to fruitfulness. And so you have the impassioned Aries, Mars energy, where Jupiter is the fire energy. You have Sagittarius moon, which is this optimistic, jolly, intrepid, generous energy. This is a wonderful election to get out in the world and explore and have fun. Enjoy this election here, 10 July. The final election or transit is the same sign, the same Sagittarius moon, but the next day, 22:44 in Central Europe. Now the moon, you get it, I got it in the 10th house here with the Pisces rising, applies to Venus. So the election the day before, the moon applies to Jupiter. The election this day, the moon is applying to Venus. The difference in this chart, on the 11th of July, Mercury enters its Egyptian term, so Mercury has strength. You can use this for maybe more mercurial activities like buying or selling, technology, business. So I would use the 11th July chart for more mercurial things rather than the 10th of July chart. Maybe the 10th of July, you can use it just to go out in a new restaurant, hanging out with new people, get on your Meetup or Tinder or Hinge or whatever you do to meet people and get out and explore new, hang out with friends. New ground, breaking new ground, I think, with Sagittarius, Aries. This chart on the 11th, you still have the Sagittarian energy. Remember what Raphael says, intrepid, pushing out, jolly, jovial, applies to Venus in Gemini. And so we get that Gemini energy combined with the Sagittarius energy here. Gemini being the thoughtfulness and the analytical. I really love these charts, particularly the chart of the 11th, for getting out and talking about ideas, engaging your ideas about the world in terms of conversation. This is a lovely time to have heated and engaged but friendly and respectful debates about ideas. You can use this chart on the 11th. So those are some of the upcoming charts. Use them well. This is actually quite a wonderful moment where there's a lot of really decent charts where the moon is in good condition and the ruler of the moon is strong. And you get the moon connecting with benefics. Use some of these for your plans and enjoy this next little period of astrology. Have a good one.